Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to our next Thrinchies. I'm just loving these, I'm addicted to them and I like to look through them each time I do a video. It's lovely to look back on them. I absolutely love looking back on each of the Thrinchies. They're just great fun to make. I'm using my product and I can look back to create more projects if I wish. So I've got my little Thrinchie book. Oh, look, it's getting a bit fuller now. So we're on Thrinchie 17. So we've just done 16. So we're on Thrinchie 17 and 18. Now, we used to do this when I used to have a shop about 15 years ago, but I haven't done it for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. And when I looked at this, when I looked at the lid, I thought that fits quite nice on our Thrinchies, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink the lid with Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink. So that's Vintage Photo. I'm going to take a little bit of Twisted Citron and just add a little bit of Twisted Citron on there. And then maybe a little bit of Rustic Wilderness. And then I'm just going to, let's see if we just press it on, whether it gives enough of an impression. So I'm just going to stamp that on there. So it's just, look at that, it's just the right size just to add detail in there. So it works quite well just to give us a frame, which is rather nice. Now, what does it look like if you do the other side? Let's just take a wipe so we don't get this all over our fingers. And then I'm just going to spritz this one very lightly with a little bit of water. Maybe a little more lightly than you first planned, but I've just spritzed that with water. And I'm going to use the other side. Let me grab some kitchen roll. Let's just grab some kitchen roll. And then I'm going to use the other side and I'm going to add some Twisted Citron on my little, let me do this and then you can see how it works. So that's Twisted Citron, Rustic Wilderness, let's add a little bit of Rustic Wilderness and some Vintage Photo. And then I'm going to take the lid and I'm just going to spritz the lid lightly with water just so you can see. Just see if any just drips off. No, you're all right. So this is the lid. I'm going to turn this way. And I'm just going to allow that just to sit on there. More up the top than I am at the bottom, but it doesn't matter. Just going to allow that just to sit on the surface, just so that it makes an impression. Let's just wipe this. And then let's lift this up. So I've now got an impression from the ink pad lid, and then I can go in with any colour that's remaining just on the inside of this one. There we go. So I've added a little bit of colour from there, and then I can just wipe that just so that it's nice and clean. And then I've got these framed pieces. So that's the inside of the lid. that is the outer of the lid, which works quite nicely. So she says as my sleeve gets in the way, I'm just going to add a few little drops of moisture to that one. Just dry my hand like so, and then we'll just grab our heat tool. Now you can let these dry naturally if you want, so that it keeps that intensity of colour. I also like here the way it's just sort of run across. So if I don't want to move that too much, if I hold the heat tool a little bit higher up, it then won't move that, it won't blow it out of the way. It'll just keep that ink in that position, which is, I quite like that. Just giving that a little bit of a dry. And then I'm just going to turn that over just so we dry the reverse. There we go. Let's give this a little bit of a dry. And let's dry the reverse. Now I've got the basis of my Thrinchie now, which is just wonderful. I like that dark area here, and I like this little bit here. It works really well. And I also love the colours as well. I've got that brown in there, but I've got the touches of green as well, which works really well. So let's grab. What I like to do is I'll bring in this copy of paper, or if you've got a piece of scrap paper similar to what you're using, that's a good judge as well. So I'm just going to take Portobello, and I'm just, is this Portobello? Oh, I think it's got another colour on there. There we go. You see, the problem with copy paper, testing it on there, is it's very absorbent. So let's grab a piece of card. Yeah, that's much better. When you test it on there compared to on the paper, it's just more true to the colour. So I'm going to take Creative Spark. I couldn't get my words out then. So I'm going to take Creative. Do I want that one, or do I want the clocks? Let's have a see. So I'm going to take Creative Spark, which is TE24, and the sort of protractor-ish, you know, that kind of image. I'm going to take that. I'm going to place this on here. Which one am I going to do first? Let's do that one. Let's move that one out of the way. And then I'm going to take Portobello ink, and I'm just going to ink half-ish of that. Is that right? So I'm going to ink sort of half-ish. So I'm going to diffuse that a little bit, just so that it's softer around that top edge. And then I'm going to add this to my background. So I've got that Portobello, which is a permanent ink pad. I was checking I'd not leaned in it then. Is a permanent ink, which means it won't move with any moisture. But I've got that oxide ink underneath there. So we just need to make sure that we give that time just to sort of grab hold of the surface. So just give that a little bit of time. There we go. So I've got my base of that. And then I'm going to bring the other one in. Let's bring this one in. And I'm going to do exactly the same. Which area did I? Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to ink again. It doesn't have to be exactly the same amount. It can be less or it can be more. It's entirely up to you. Excuse me. Just diffuse that a little bit with a little bit of my kitchen roll, which did nothing because I completely missed it. That's better. Bring these backgrounds in. There we go. And again, don't be in too much of a rush because now there's more oxide on this one than there was on that one. So just be aware of that. Again, just give that a little bit of time just to grab hold of the surface. Just beautiful. I love that image. But now I've got like some grounding to add something, you see. Makes me happy. So then I'm going to add, what are you going to add? See, I could add the cats. I could add any of my little birdies as well. Oh, which one are you going to add? Let's give the pheasants a go. So I'm going to take the pheasants. As you can see, one of them is well used because it's not even stuck on there. So when you see it like that falling off your packaging, just take soapy water or a little bit of a wipe and just give a little bit of a clean, because all it means is your fingers have been on there, it's a bit dirty, so just give that a little bit of a clean. Let's take the other little pheasant as well. So these are from TE32. There we go. So let's bring these in to this one. So then I need my black ink, which is the Nocturne ink. And let's give those a really good inking. And even when it's a small stamp, I still give that lots of tapping, just so that I've got a really good layer of ink on there. And then I'm going to add the little pheasants. I'm going to have to bring my head in a little bit. Let's add the pheasants just here. And again, I've got that silhouette element, so just give it a little bit of time just to grab hold of that surface. Don't be in too much of a rush to lift it up, even when it's a small stamp. Just give that time. Oh, wonderful. Small things make me happy. My little C there. I need to put that back on there. I love playing with these Thrinchies. I just love doing them. So let's put the pheasants back. Like so. And then we're going to grab our... Which one are you going to grab? Come on, Tracy, think. I'm then going to grab TE30 and I'm going to take the little blackbirds here. You can add whatever you wish to yours. So let's grab, but I just love the playing with them. It's just so much fun. And because I can mix and match so many things. Again, look how many times I'm tapping that. Let's just add our little blackbirds here. And again, just give that a little bit of time just to grab hold of that surface. Don't lift it too soon. Just give it a little bit of time. we go. So I'll just place those back onto my packaging. Trying to be good and just remember to place things back when I've finished using them. So let me just, so now I've got the tag from TE32 and I'm going to stamp the tag. Doesn't matter, just place it there. Just ink that up with my Nocturne ink. Just deciding which, so I'm just going to have this just here, like so. So just adding the tag, and then I'm just going to take, as if it's dangling from the page, and then we'll take the tag again, and again as if it's dangling from the page, this time this way. And obviously on this one there's a smaller surface area, but you still want it to look like it's part of the design. To add that, and then I'm going to take B for blackbird, or it could just be bird. So the B from TE32 that's got the alphabet on. I'm just going to add the B to there. You hardly have to press. And then I'm going to take the P for pheasant. Well, you see these sleeves have got a bit of dangle to them, so I keep catching my sleeves on there, which is really handy. So again, the Nocturne ink, inking the P, and each time making sure I'm not over the surface of my card, just until I make sure that stamp is not going to fall off my acrylic block. So let's grab the P, place that back. It's just going to place these back into the packaging, just because then I know that I won't lose any bits and pieces. So let's just place that out of the way. Just nice, simple ideas. I'm going to grab my little paintbrush, a little bit of, I can actually use this as my paint palette, the actual acrylic block. I'm going to take a little bit of Rustic Wilderness and a little bit of Twisted Citron. Let's do this one first. So I'll pick up a little bit of the Rustic Wilderness, and we'll just add a little bit of the Rustic Wilderness just to the edge. Pick up the Twisted Citron and just bring in the Twisted Citron. Just lovely. I love these colours. So the Rustic Wilderness. And obviously it's going to look different on each one because you've got a different intensity of colour in the background. Pick up the Twisted Citron. And what I'm going to do is add another layer of the Rustic Wilderness to this one, just so that it's a little bit darker. Just take a little bit of the moisture out of there, and then pick up the Twisted Citron and add a little bit more of the Twisted Citron. And again, with the ink that you have on your acrylic block, you could easily create another background. So you could quite easily put that on another card and create another lovely background quite easily. So let's just move this out of the way. We just want some shading, so let's grab a little bit of shading just around the tags. I'm just going to make sure that that brush is clean, which is not going to be because it'll have all that pigment from the Distress Oxide. And then I'm just going to touch that with a little bit of moisture just to give a little bit of shading. And I'm only using a touch of moisture just so that it doesn't affect the oxide too much. There we go. Let me just place. No, I'm going to keep that. What was I just going to do then? Oh, I know. I'm going to grab, which one is this going to be in now? The backgrounds. I'm going to grab this little A8 stamp set. Which is Art Backdrop. And I'm going to take a little bit of text from here, just in the black. And just add a little bit of the background text just to my background. And I'm not stamping too hard. That's wonderful. So let's grab a little bit of this. Let's put this on the opposite side. And I don't press it, I'm just sort of allowing it just to rest on there, just to give a little bit of background stamping, which works just quite nicely, just enough. Now I just want one word for a sentiment, and we've got to add touches of white as well. Let's place that back. Just for one word then, I'm going to go back to TE24. I'm going to use the word original as one of my words. This has still got moisture on there. So original on one of them. And we'll just cut that out. She says, try not to knock the camera. And I love the wording on these because they're just the right size, especially when we're doing our Thrinchies as well, because I don't want anything too overpowering. So we've got original, and then we've got another one that says artistic, imaginative. Let's put artistic. I can't even put my stamp on the right way around. Again, I'm using that Nocturne ink. And again, I don't have to press too hard. Don't know what was wrong with that piece of card that I could have used. There we go. Lovely. So we'll just add this to our pieces now. So I'm going to add original to one and artistic to the other. Let's make sure you can see the little feet. So we'll just add those. Let's add these to here. There we go. Just adding that under the feet. That's it. And then we'll add the word original under this one. A little bit of, that's it. Let's just bring that down here. I've got a little bit like hair or something on the end of there. And then I'm going to add the word original under here. And again, just give that a couple of moments to dry. This one should have grabbed hold by now. So just add my Inktense pencil just underneath there. And just add a little bit of the shading just underneath. And a little bit under this one as well. Just to sort of finish it off properly. And then when we add white splatters, you can cover those words up if you like, and then you won't splatter with your white Posca pen. Posca pen. So I'm going to add a little bit you see, you need to wait till things dry, mainly because I've added this oxide and it is wet. So you just need to be aware of that. You've got that wet on there. So just adding a little bit of white to the birds. Just a little touch. So we've got a little touch of white on there. And then I'm going to use this smaller Posca pen just to add some splatters. And it just means I'll miss the wording with it being in a smaller area. It'll just miss it a little bit. There we go. And if I don't want that to react too much, I'm just going to dry the surface a little bit, just so that that Posca pen therefore doesn't react too much with the oxides. So I'm just giving that a little bit of a dry, just so it doesn't continue reacting, because obviously we've added that moisture there and the oxide will react with the moisture and take on that colour. So we're just sort of drying it to stop it reacting too much. So let's bring in our Thrinchie book. Oh, you know what I've forgotten, don't you? I didn't, like Margaret keeps telling me, do your black before you start, or do several, and I just don't do it. So I'm going to add my black Posca around the edge. Finishes it off rather nicely. Just makes it look a little bit more finished. That's one. And if you do several in one go, in one sitting, you've got them done already, and then you don't have to do them afterwards like me. They're already done beforehand. And just doing it on copier paper, just so then I have no cleanup. That's better. Okay, so now we'll go to our Thrinchie book, and we can add these to our little book. And when it's had a little bit of curling, like mine, because obviously you've added that moisture, just give it a few moments. Just keep your fingers there, just until it grabs hold of your little book. I'm loving these. I love doing these. So just give that a few moments. And when it's in that book, oh, it just looks lovely. I love it. Just works so well in this little book. It really finishes them off nicely. And obviously I can add my numbers, and I can do that afterwards. I can add the numbers, no problem. I can do that afterwards. Don't they just look lovely in the book? I absolutely love them in the book. I just think they look fantastic. So then I'm going to put my needle back in, and then I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of shading, just on the bottom edge. Just give that a little bit of shading. Let's blend that out. The Inktense works really well. You only have to touch with a little bit of moisture. And if you've got the right card, it just moves beautifully. There we go. So it's up to you then how much detail or how little detail you add to your Thrinchies. I just love them. And then I'm keeping another book with my colour schemes in. So I'm going to add, so where's my cap? Where's TE 36? I'm going to take my blank circular stamp. So let's take the blank one. And then I'm going to use Twisted Citron. Oh, I've done it again. Look, I did this last time. You'd think I'd know by now. But obviously not. So I've got Twisted Citron. Just give that a clean. This is like my colour swatch book, just so that if I'm ever stuck for colour schemes, I can keep going back, and then I've got something for inspiration. So I'm going to fill every page with a colour scheme. So that one. And the vintage photo. And then I can create different cards, but with the same colour schemes, But then if I'm stuck for ideas, I look through my little colour scheme book and it gives me ideas. So then I'm going to use my pen, and then I add the colours, Twisted Citron, and we've got Rustic Wilderness, and we've got Vintage Photo. And then we used Portobello with some stamping. And it just means I'm never going to be stuck for ideas. I've got my Portobello there. So then I can, what have I just done with the pen? Don't chuck your pen. There you go. And then I've just got, I don't then have to try and look at my cards and think, oh, well, what colour scheme was that? I've then got my little book that doesn't take up much space. And obviously, if I use 20 colours on one as a colour scheme, I can just put all the colours on a whole page. But it just keeps me, I've then got ideas when I want to come and use colour schemes. So I can then place that. And then bring in my Thrinchie book, just so that you can see the Thrinchies once again. And I will add the numbers to those, just like I've done with these ones. I'll add 17 and 18. So I hope you enjoy creating those and give those a little go. I do love that little touch of stamping just here and here. So I hope you enjoyed that and you'll give that a go. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.